Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? Today is Thursday, March 30th, 2023. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. Breaking news. The New York grand jury has indicted Donald Trump for his payments to Stormy Daniels. We'll tell you exactly what this means. A huge development coming out of New York City today. A gun debate is brewing in this country, and one Democratic congressman from New York has had enough. Congressman Jamaal Bowman goes off on Republicans in the well of the House to their face. We'll show you that. We'll also show you protests in Tennessee as parents and students descend on the state capitol to demand gun control after the tragic shooting that left 6 people dead at a private Christian school. So we'll tell you about that as well. In addition, in North Carolina, Republicans have actually passed a bill now saying, you know what, you could go ahead and get a pistol and have to worry about a permit. It goes to show you these people are not pro-life. I keep telling y'all this. NFL is in hot water again, this time for firing longtime NFL Network reporter Jim Trotter. Of course, he questioned the last 2 years NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell regarding the lack of diversity at the network. Jim will join us right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Vice President Kamala Harris, she toured Tanzania today. We'll explain what she discussed with Tanzania's first female president and the only female head of state on the continent of Africa. Also, March is Brain Injury Awareness Month. to bring public attention to an issue affecting millions in the U.S. We'll talk directly with our Thursday panelist, Erica Savage, founder of and host of the Reframe Brain podcast. Folks, a lot to break down. In addition to that, Tennessee State Republicans in Tennessee are trying to fire the entire board of trustees. We'll discuss that as well, y'all. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
New York grand jury with regards to the Stormy Daniels case. Remember, we've been talking about this for quite some time. He made sure to keep this payment secret. And remember, his own lawyer, Michael Cohen, was the one who spilled the beans. Trump has been predicting for the last week or so that he was going to get indicted and they were going to arrest him, and he was sitting here all mad, upset. Well, it has actually happened. All of the New York media outlets are reporting this development, and the grand jury voted today. Now, remember, the grand jury is taking the next month off, and so the decision was made to move forward. Now, it's time for that perp walk. That's right, time for that perp walk for Donald Trump. This is a huge development. He becomes the first, y'all know I don't refer to him as president, but he becomes the first president ever to actually be indicted. This right here is the front page of the New York Times right now. Grand jury votes to indict Trump. And again, it all stems from him paying hush money to the porn star Stormy Daniels. Of course, this is a huge, huge development. And again, Republicans have been defending him left and right, but now they are going to have to try to explain this one. We're going to be talking to some lawyers about this. I'm going to talk to a couple of our panelists right now. Greg Carr, Department of Afro-American Studies at Howard University. Greg is in studio. Erica Savage, host of the Reframe Brain, also with us as well. This obviously is huge news. I also say great news. A lot of people say we're not again, didn't think we're going to see this day. But this is the thing that I keep saying, Greg. The sign above the Supreme Court, etched in stone, equal justice under law. This man has been getting away with things for a very long time. Now he has to pay the piper.
Absolutely. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Is he going to show up for his fingerprinting with all the Secret Service? Hey, congratulations to Brother Alvin to do that. You still got to wait on Fannie Willis in Atlanta and the federal indictment. But I guess the question we have is this help him or hurt him? Quite frankly, because you can run.
I don't think anybody gets in. I don't think if you get indicted, it helps.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think. And look, at the end of the day, the man said, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue.
He did.
And my people are still going to vote for me. And so it wasn't the case. And when I listen to the likes of Bill Maher and Van Jones talk about how he shouldn't get indicted, to me, that's utter bullshit. Because the reality is, it's brothers and sisters every day.
No question.
Who get indicted for small stuff. This man has subverted the law repeatedly and has never had to pay the price. Now he has to now face the music, Erica.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about decades of him subverting the law, to use your language, particularly when we're thinking about when he and his father, Fred Trump, were sued by the Department of Justice under the Nixon administration for really going against one of the three major parts of federal legislation that ensure that people are able to get fair and equitable housing. So here we are, a person who, for all that we pretty much know, bought his seat to assume a presidency, twice impeached someone who led an insurrection, not 10 years. We're talking about 2 years ago.
That's right.
So, you know, to know that a booty call is going to cost him a perp walk, I'm here for it. The son of a Klansman has his day.
So, and again, when we talk about this indictment, when we talk about the importance of it, Alvin Bragg was criticized early on when they were investigating him for other crimes, and then he pulled back from that. The previous DA
That's right.
chose to pass that on. And then there were a couple of prosecutors who actually resigned from the office because they felt they had enough to actually prosecute him. Some Greg, have said this is the weakest case, but I still sort of laugh at when people say that, because the reality is this notion, whether something is weak or strong, did you break the law? It's as simple as that. And he doesn't get a pass just because he used to sit in the Oval Office.
Well, Roland, you know, I was watching you all's coverage of Orlando Robinson the other night. And, you know, Robinson, when he left this country, and by the way, I love those pictures of y'all down there in St. Kitts, boy, I was like, wish I could have been down there with you. He's like, I left this country because if you don't believe in this country, why do you think I would believe it? George Washington had us enslaved. I can't believe it any harder than he can. I'm leaving. In this case, sure, Stephanie Clifford, it wasn't even the sex. It's the fact that you lied about it. Yes, he technically broke the law. But if Trump is indicted, even if he's convicted, he could still run for president. In other words, what you said is true. His supporters are not going to leave him, and the real test will be whether they believe in the rule of law, and we know that they don't.
So of course not. First of all, they don't believe in the rule of law because we saw with January 6th.
Exactly.
So, so they absolutely
This is what you wrote about.
Don't believe in the rule of law.
That's right.
You know, and so I think, you know, again, people just have to understand what's at play here, and I just love all the excuse making. Yeah. I mean, ever since he posted last week that they were going to indict him, I mean, the excuses have been coming left and right, fast and furious from Republicans, and I've just been sitting there cracking up, just watching them just make up all sort of different excuses, Erica, as to why he shouldn't. No, this is wrong. It's unfair. Oh, he's being targeted. No, you did it. You did it.
Yeah, and he did it, and he bragged about it. And then the other thing we have to think about is that we have people that are in his bosom, like a Marjorie Greene Taylor, that has gone to see about the welfare of the people, that really led an insurrection on our country. So we know the tone of these individuals. We know the type of people that we're dealing with. We know that these are people where law looks like white and man.
That's right.
So those are the individuals that we're looking at. So they're not looking at law as it relates to everybody else, but to really protect what is happening with the country, which, Roland, you have written about in your book, White Fear, the browning of America, is something that they're desperately trying over and over again to ensure that whiteness is really kept away from the laws that we all are engaged and have to abide by on a daily basis. But Trump is really getting his day that he's been overdue for quite some time.
This is a live look here of the New York, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. We actually have a live feed going right there on our Black Star Network, so you can check that out as well. And so we will let you know if anything happens from DA Alvin Bragg. Got to go to break. We come back. We'll talk to legal experts about this. What does it mean? The importance of it. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button. Also, folks, be sure to download our Black Star Network app. Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Also, support us in what we do by joining our Bring the Funk fan club. Send check and money orders to P.O. Box 57196. Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Don't forget our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week live channel is streaming now on Amazon News. If you go to Amazon Fire, click Amazon News. You can watch our 24/7 channel. In addition, if you have Alexa, you can say, Alexa, play news from Black Star Network, and you can hear that audio. All right, folks, we'll be right back in a moment.
hatred on the streets. A horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hey, I'm Deion Cole from Blackish.
Hey, I'm Arnez J. Black TV does matter, dang it.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy, Jacob Lattimore, and you're now watching Roland Martin right now.
Stay woke.
All right, folks, welcome back to Breaking News. Donald Trump has been indicted by a New York grand jury. Joining us right now is attorney Monique Presley. Monique, your thoughts on this development out of New York City? Don't have your audio.
Can you hear me?
Are you on mute?
I don't think so. Can you hear me now?
All right, I can hear her through the control room. I can't hear. So, come on. All right, Monique, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Am I good now?
Yep, go ahead, Monique.
Oh, I didn't know if I was good. Okay.
Yep, you were.
So I guess the short of it for me is this is like everything else with Donald Trump, unprecedented, right? It's something we've never seen before, but it's certainly necessary. This is the next step in what could be a long and arduous process. My wholehearted respect and hats off to DA Alvin Bragg for doing the necessary job amidst intentional intimidation attempts, amidst attempts to discredit him, his office, his obligation to do this under the law. This is why it is important to have progressive prosecutors in these positions who are willing to take the necessary stands against all of the power that can be wielded against them. And this is certainly that circumstance. What will happen from here? Nobody knows. That we don't have the specific charges yet. I believe that he may charge in the alternative, so we may see more rather than less. It might not be a very simple indictment, but this is a good and necessary step. And all of the talk about it coming out of order or it being the hardest case or perhaps he should have stood down on this one, that's all trash. That's all ridiculousness. He has one job to do, and that is to be the enforcer. He is to figure out through investigation whether a crime has been committed, and the grand jury belongs to the prosecutor. So when he took them his evidence, they did what grand juries do. They voted and gave him an indictment.
You know, I get a kick out of these law and order conservatives who love to sit here and tout just how they believe in the rule of law and how all these things absolutely matter. So I see this tweet from conservative Eric Erickson. Go to my iPad. He goes, Democrats just fast-tracked Donald Trump back to the White House. Now, I tweeted back, yeah, you said his ass was going to win last time, and he didn't. You know, and again, this whole, the reason I find this to be hilarious, how they have this belief, is because they actually act as if when details start coming out, when they start presenting evidence, showing how he lied, showing, and we know he's going to lie about lies. So this notion that that's not going to have an impact is hilarious. And then the other people go, oh, this is the weakest of all the cases. The bottom line is this here. Did you do it or did you not do it? And the reality is we know what this fool did. And then you have Alan Dershowitz out here saying, oh, Alvin Bragg could be disbarred for putting a witness on the stand who's a known liar in terms of Michael Cohen. I'm like, dude, go sit your ass down with the lies. Again, they will make up anything to cover for this thug in chief.
Well, and that really, the last part that you mentioned, that's what I mean by just the shameful displays by members of the bar who know better, who know that they themselves, when they were prosecutors, would call snitch after snitch after snitch, who had lied and lied and lied, and put them on the witness stand and get their indictments, get their charges, and keep it moving. They would make the deals and then put the liar on the stand. They would prep the liars to put them on the stand. And so it's incredulous to me that what is happening is exactly as we've said so many times before. They're fine with everybody voting until we use the votes to wield power against those who expect to be able to get what they want from this country, to be elected and stay in power. You wrote a whole book about it. They're fine, right, with law and order and with crimes being charged and laws being enforced until that power is used to reach the nth percent, to reach those who have up until now, for centuries in this country, evaded consequences under the law. So you are going to see hypocrisy like we've never seen it before. You are going to see the conservatives abandoning further all of their principles, and you are going to see them attack this one black man who had this one job to do. So I hope that at least in our communities, and that all people of goodwill who understand that democracy only works when there is a rule of law, will support him and other prosecutors like him who have a job to do.
You know, I gotta laugh. You know what? Let me just see if I can just pull this one up, because I think this one is pretty funny. And look at this tweet here. I have gained such respect for this grand jury and perhaps even the grand jury system as a whole. The evidence is so overwhelming in my favor and so ridiculously bad for the highly partisan and hateful district attorney that the grand jury is saying, hold on, we're not a rubber stamp, which most grand juries are branded as being. We're not going to vote against a preponderance of evidence or against large numbers of legal scholars all saying there is no case here. Drop this sick witch hunt now. Nope.
No, it's not going to be dropped. And the grand jury does belong to the prosecutor. That's the one thing that he is right about. But the reason it is that way is because prosecutors don't go in unless they already know. They don't set themselves up for failure. So what we should be clear on about this indictment is that DA Bragg is as certain as he can possibly be that he has the evidence necessary to prove whatever these charges are when we find out tomorrow or a couple of days from now. He knows that he can prove them beyond a reasonable doubt. He is confident that he can meet the standard. And so that means it is not at all likely that it's depending or hinging upon the single testimony of Trump's former fixer and attorney Michael Cohen. That means that he has put a case together and that case will keep on growing, because now that he's gone out there, that he has taken the plunge, you will find that there will be other cooperating witnesses who will be leaned on as they head to trial. And that's the other thing that I want to say. People shouldn't assume that because there have been charges or there are about to be charges, that there will ever be a trial. DA Bragg has the full host or complement of his discretion. So just because he charges doesn't mean there won't be a deal. It doesn't mean that there won't be plea negotiations and an offer. It doesn't mean any of those things. He has the discretion to do what he believes is best and necessary with this case at every single stage.
Out of Chicago, attorney Xavier Pope. Xavier, I love this tweet from the Washington Post. It says, once Trump is in custody, police officers will process him behind closed doors, taking mugshots and fingerprints. Here's what we know about the next steps in the criminal proceedings and what they mean for Trump's 2024 presidential run. You know, he complained during the election, during the campaign in 2016 about certain photos of being run of him. He ain't gonna like that mug shot. Xavier, I think you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Now we got you. Go ahead.
I think you'll like the mugshot though, Roland.
Oh no! You know, I will. Matter of fact, I might print that sumbitch out and put it on the wall here in the office. I got a George W. Bush photo here, autographed by him. I got a couple of shots. A shot of Hillary, the art piece of Obama. Yeah, you know, I might print that sucker out and put it on the wall. I ain't gonna frame it. I probably tack it.
There's a lot of people, Roland, and I'm not mad at you, but there's a lot of people who have wanted this former president to be held accountable for his criminality, his corruption, and usurping the law for his own benefit, for his own political and financial gain. And I think that this potentially starts the process where now the door and the floodgates have opened for this former president to actually be held accountable. And so I think that this is something that the country needs to have happen, so that you are not above the law. You can't break the law and expect to get away with it. But DA Bragg, I'm going to tell you right now, Roland, today his life is now officially in jeopardy. This is a black man who went after a white supremacist leader who had attempted to lead an insurrection against this country on the back of being upset about black and brown votes. This is a declaration of war to MAGA America, racist America, white supremacist America.
Well, absolutely. And when I look at what's going on here, I can't say that. Again, I'm upset. As Malcolm X said, chicken's coming home to roost, Monique.
Yes, and I believe that this is the beginning, that this is not the end. We are seeing and hearing nothing but confirming reports regarding what we can expect to happen in Georgia and the other cases that are alive and well against him. He's not getting any rulings in his favor. He's being required to testify in different places. Now, that is the other thing that may end up stalling, and people should expect. The civil suits, the civil cases that are going on against him are likely to come to a screeching halt as of right now, at least anything regarding his testimony, because the defendant has rights. And one of his rights is to not be forced to incriminate himself by testifying under oath. And for Trump to open his mouth is to lie, but certainly his lawyers will likely be successful in the civil arena in keeping him from having to testify in court, having to be deposed in those matters until this and any other criminal prosecutions are resolved.
Now that's civil, Xavier. He still may get indicted in Georgia.
Yeah, he still may be indicted in Georgia. I mean, that's also another black DA there, and so which has a completely different set of circumstances, a completely set of facts. So definitely correct that some of the civil action could be potentially stalled or slowed to some degree, but this is another step in the direction. This gives the opportunity for more charges to be brought. Now, obviously, it's a different jurisdiction. Obviously, it would be a different charge. But from a political standpoint, this emboldens any other future potential prosecutions that may come against the former president.
Well, this is real simple. Reese Colbert joins us, founder of Black Women Views. Reese, I guess, maybe I'm just thinking Tony. It feels good.
Hey, yeah. Hey, lock his ass up. Hey, lock his ass up. You're going to jail. You're going to jail.
Okay, maybe not yet. Have that moment to celebrate. I'm sure Erica.
I probably miss you calling him the son of a Klansman.
Oh yeah, she had to cover that.
So I think you had a little juju out there in the atmosphere. You had to go out the bang. But listen, Trump, it's his day in court, and I've been saying he has been unindicted co-conspirator #1 in SDN1 for years now. So any notion that he was somehow untouchable or that there wasn't a case has already been disproven by the fact that Michael Cohen pled guilty, sat in jail, was not pardoned by his co-conspirator. And we're talking about the same set of evidence here. And so when it comes to documentation, when it comes to these sort of crimes, it is technically an open and shut case, but he is Donald Trump. I don't know how many supporters he has in Manhattan. It's been real quiet. As a church mouse, they didn't get their bus passes
down to Manhattan yet. They didn't ride in their cavalry. The truckers for Trump are trucking today. Howsoever, I'm just looking forward to the humiliation. I mean, the whole Republican Party is nothing but a grand embarrassment. The primary is going to be humiliating for everybody, trying to bow down at the altar of Trump. But Trump himself is going through the most humiliating process. And the last thing I'll say, the party of law and order has no problem with locking up politicians. They had no problem with Andrew Gillum getting indicted for Hamilton tickets, trips to Jamaica. How many Baltimore mayors have ended up in jail?
Wait, hold up. A Baltimore mayor that was forced to resign for using gift cards.
Okay, and also Marilyn Mosby's 401k.
Right.
Let's keep the same energy that we have for the black politicians for the white ones. I don't care if you've been president or not. You was illegitimately the first time because you didn't win the popular vote. The Electoral College put him in there. You lost this time.
All right. Monique and Xavier, we appreciate y'all providing us some analysis. There will be lots more to talk about, and I can't wait for those orange tears.
Happy Trump Indictment Day to all those who celebrate.
Yes. Let's go ahead and mark this day, March 30th, on the calendar.
Pour the Hennessy, Roland.
Huh?
Pour the Hennessy, Roland. Time to celebrate.
You said pour the Hennessy. No. See, we had So hold up. See, you said pour the Hennessy. See, they ain't black owned. So we actually. So these would I don't drink. Y'all know I don't pour. Y'all know I don't drink, but I don't. But these. No. That Hennessy is black. Hennessy is black targeted. These are black owned. These are black owned companies. So y'all know we don't do no Hennessy. They ain't black owned. Wow. So remember we had these sisters on the show. Yeah. So it's Halo 7. They had some rum and cognac. And this is another whiskey that's out of. A brother, he's out of Miami. He's also an Alpha brother. So yeah, we ain't gonna shout out non-black owned liquor. We gonna shout out the black folks. So that's how we do it. We keep it real black on this show, Xavier.
Black is real.
Roland had the black yak on deck.
That's right. That's right. The black yak. That's right. This right here is Donald Trump Indictment Day party drink. And we got some black made cupcakes in the kitchen too.
Got some miners over here.
All right, there we go. Xavier, I appreciate it. Monique, thanks a lot. All right, y'all, we got to go to a break, folks. We come back. Jim Trotter, a brother who's been on the front lines challenging the NFL when it comes to their hiring. Now they decide they're not going to renew his contract. Well, he tweeted about earlier this week. He joins us next right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. The operative word there is black. If y'all on YouTube, hit the like button. Of course, you can also download our app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. Watch us on Amazon News by going to the Amazon Fire app, and you can check us out there. Y'all know how we do it. And of course, your dollars make it possible for us to do what we do. Look, we don't get the advertising support that we need. And trust me, y'all make the difference for us to being able to cover the news, pay staff. I told y'all it's $190,000 a month it costs to run this show and to run the Black Star Network. And so check in money orders, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196, Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo is RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
A lot of these corporations or people that are running stuff push black people if they're doing a certain thing. What that does is it creates a butterfly effect of any young kid who, wants to leave any situation they're in, and the only people they see are people that are doing this. So I gotta be a gangster, I gotta shoot, I gotta sell, I gotta do this in order to do it. And it just becomes a cycle. But when someone comes around and is making we don't, they don't want to push it or put money into it. So that's definitely something I'm trying to fix too, is just show there's other avenues. You don't got to be a rapper, you don't got to be a ball player. You could be a country singer, you can be an opera singer, you can be a damn whatever, Showing the different avenues. And that is possible, and it's hard for people to realize it's possible until someone does it.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Coming up on the next Black Table, a conversation with Professor Howard W. French on his new book, Born in Blackness, covering 600 years of global African history and helping us understand how the world we know today is a gift from black people.
There could have been no West without Africa and Africa.
That's on the next Black Table with me, Greg Carr, only on the Black Star Network. Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Table with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
What's up, what's up? I'm Dr. Ricky Dillard, the choir master.
Hey, yo, Peace World, what's going on? It's the Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon, and you're watching Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
All right, y'all. Last year, Jim Trotter asked this question to NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell while the other media was there asking about all kind of other stuff. Jim chose to use his time to ask this.
Also for you, and since they're not here, I'll ask you, as I always say. In your initial statement, the league's initial statement, it said that diversity, equity, and inclusion were core principles of the NFL. And I need to provide some context before I can ask you about that statement. In the 100-plus year history of this league, 24 of 32 franchises have either had one black head coach or no black head coaches. And to make sure I get the names right, I'll read them off here. We've got the Bills, the Commanders, the Cowboys, the Falcons, the Giants, the Jaguars, the Panthers, the Patriots, the Rams, the Ravens, the Saints, the Seahawks, the Titans, who have never had a black head coach. That's nearly half the league. Majority black owner. There's only been one black club president. We look at the GMs, now we're up to 7. 5 of those were hired in the last 12 months. We're now at 3 black head coaches, 2 of whom were hired after Brian Flores filed his lawsuit. So it's easy to focus on the owners here, but I want to put of the top 11 executives there are only 2 people of color. When we look at NFL Media Group, where I work, there is not one black person at the senior level in the newsroom who makes decisions about a league whose player population is 70% black. So as a member of the media group and as a black man, I ask, why does the NFL and its owners have such a difficult time at the highest level positions?
Yeah, Jim, listen.
So that was the question. So that was a question Jim asked last year. Well, Roger Goodell promised that they would improve. Well, this is this year's Super Bowl.
Hey, Roger. Jim Trotter, NFL Media. You and other league officials have said that the league's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion extend beyond the sidelines and beyond the front offices and is applied to all aspects of the company. I've worked in NFL media for 5 years. During those 5 years, we have never had a black person in senior management in our newsroom. That's a problem because we cover a league who, according to league data, the player population is 60 to 70% black, which means that there is no one who looks like these players at the table when decisions are being made about how they are covered. More concerning is that for a year plus now, we have never had a full-time black employee on the news desk, which again is a problem because we cover a league whose player population is 60 to 70% black according to league data. I asked you about these things last year, and what you told me is that the league had fallen short and you were going to review all of your policies and practices to try and improve this. And yet a year later, nothing has changed. You know, James Baldwin once said that I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. And so I would ask you as an employee, when are we in the newsroom going to have a black person in senior management, and when will we have a full-time black employee on the news desk?
Well, Jim, I am not in charge of the newsroom,
Now, Goodell says, I'm not in charge of the newsroom, but you're the commissioner and the league owns the network, so you actually are in charge of the newsroom, Roger. Joining us right now, Howard University graduate Jim Trotter. Jim, glad to have you here on the show. So you've been in the NFL Network 5 years. This decision is made. You had a hugely popular podcast with the network, made them money. And then you out there asking...
That they didn't want to pay us for.
Huh?
That they didn't want to pay us for.
Right. They're making them money, but they want to pay you and Sam Weiss for.
Steve Weiss.
Sorry, Steve Weiss. Sam Weiss was the NFL head coach. So were you caught by surprise by this decision of being laid off?
No, Roland, you know this. When you understand who you're dealing with, it's easy to anticipate their moves. And so I knew when I started asking the commissioner about this publicly, and what people don't know is that I had been asking this question internally in the newsroom for 2 years as well. I always knew this was a possibility. And so when it came to pass that they said they weren't going to renew my contract, I wasn't caught off guard. I was disappointed from the standpoint that what they had said internally for the past 2 years is hold our feet to the fire as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so I tried to do that. And every time I challenged them on this, I would not get answers. I would get what you heard from the commissioner. And so when he says he doesn't manage the newsroom, technically he's right. Directly, he doesn't. But indirectly, he does from this standpoint, as you pointed out. New York, the league office, sets our budget in the newsroom. It sets our head count in the newsroom. The manager of the newsroom has to report to the people in New York and has to report the diversity numbers. So if this was a point of concern about the league, the commissioner would know about this and something would be done about it, but they have not done anything about it. Think about this again, and this is really important. You have a player population that's 60 to 70% black, and that's by the league's own data. We don't have one executive, black executive, in the newsroom. We don't have one black copy editor in the newsroom, and we don't have one full-time black employee on the news desk. What am I missing here? I mean, when I was brought up in journalism school, I was taught that your newsroom, as best it can, is supposed to reflect the community that it covers. That's not happening here, Roland, and to me that is an issue. And also an issue is the way that we have covered up for owners in the league office, and I will get into that at the appropriate time, which is not now, but when you combine the two, it's clear why I think my asking these questions played a role in my contract not being renewed.
Now, normally how these things work, network folks will give agents a heads up months before that decision. Did they have any conversation with your agent?
They told my agent back in November, we don't see any reason we wouldn't bring Jim back. Everybody loves Jim. Now, it may come with a pay trim because we're reducing salary, but we see no reason he wouldn't be brought back. That was in mid-November. Now let's fast forward to the scouting combine, which was 3 weeks after the Super Bowl. I get called in and I get asked, are you in alignment with the newsroom? And I said, no, I'm not. How can I be in alignment with the newsroom when you guys profess that diversity, equity, and inclusion are core principles of the NFL, and yet that's not reflected in the actions? And I get, yeah, I thought that. And then I was told, you know, it's really hard to fight corporate headwinds. Sometimes you have to compromise. And then I laid out all the areas that I thought I had compromised, and I told them there's one place I'm not going to compromise, and that is with my integrity. And I stand on that.
There's been an outpouring of support from other journalists, other black journalists. Folks have been commenting on social media as well. And I'm sure you've gotten text messages and phone calls and folks saying, Jim attaboy. But, one of the things that I remember very well from my days at CNN, it's a whole lot of people who I call our parking lot militants, where when you're in the parking lot, they got a lot of stuff to say, but when it's time to go back in that building, sometimes you're the only person who is standing saying something. And clearly you knew when you were asking these questions publicly that was going to be a price to pay. I absolutely understand that, been there, done that. And what people don't understand is for people they to realize that there is a price to pay. When you have that personal integrity, when an issue is that important.
Yeah, absolutely, Roland. Look, my feeling on this is that, and I've said, I'm never going to stop fighting for representation, and I'm never going to stop fighting for journalism, which means holding the people in power accountable. So if it means that it was going to cost me my job here, that's fine. I'll find another job. But I'm not going to compromise in that way as if to say it's okay that these players don't have any representation when it comes to how they are covered and who covers them. And the sad part to me is, like, there are folks in the newsroom. My immediate supervisor asked one of my colleagues, why does Jim keep focusing on this? As if he doesn't understand, again, why this is so important. And I don't know how to respond to that other than to say, I'm going to keep fighting this fight, and I'm going to keep bringing it up. I'll tell you a story. We have, every summer, the NFL Media Group has what it calls a talent summit, media summit. They bring all the talent out to LA, right? So for a day and a half of meetings. So we get in a breakout session, a private session, and the head of the network is there, and he tells us, this conversation's off the record, meaning you guys can ask whatever you want, I'll give you the answer. So I asked him, I said, I just listened to you up on the stage talk about how we have made progress as it relates to DEI. And I said, up on the stage with you was 3 or 4 other white men. I said, there was no one who looked like me. So how am I to believe that we have made progress as it relates to DEI? And then I said to him, I said, we don't even have a full-time black employee on the news desk. And he said to me, yes, we do. And I said, no, we don't. He said, I walk through the newsroom every day. I see them. Yes, we do. And I said, give me one name. Give me one name and I'll drop it. And his response to me was, well, I can't think of one right now, but I will get back to you. That was last June. Do you think he ever got back to me? No, because there isn't one.
As if you didn't know the answer to the question you raised. It's like reporters still report outside and inside. Jim, hold tight 1 second. I got to go to break. We're going to pick this back up when we come back right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hey, I'm Donnie Simpson.
Hi, I'm Eric Nolan.
I'm Shantae Moore.
Hi, my name is LaToya Luckett, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back. Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. We're talking with Jim Trotter with the NFL Network. Has really been challenging them on these issues. Here's one of the things, Jim, I've said to people all the time. DEI is bullshit. And frankly, look, when 75% of the DEI jobs are white people, and you would think that, and that's at least the one job you might find some people of color, it goes to show you. And what it does is it makes them feel good. All of these companies, they put out these wonderful statements and they put Instagram posts and social media posts. But someone said something yesterday that budgets.
Can I before you get to that, can I make a point on that?
Go ahead.
So that conversation I had with the top executive at the network, when it was over, or in the room during that conversation, was an executive from New York, from the league office. Hans Schroeder was there. And when it was over, I went up to Hans Schroeder and I said to him, I don't like asking these questions. I said, but they have to be asked. And I said, I believe that the NFL has a social contract with a public that supports it as the most popular sport in this country to do the right thing and to be a beacon for change. And I said, the other thing that bothers me in this situation is you guys keep touting your DEI numbers, your diversity numbers. And I said, you guys, that is disingenuous from this standpoint. You include whites and white women in there, and you say that that's a diverse group. I want to know about black people. And so specifically now what I would say to the NFL is, if you feel comfortable talking about all the progress that you have made as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion, show me the breakdown by demographic groups of your promotion and retention rate. Because as I understand it, and you can clear this up and say I'm wrong, as I understand it, we blacks are at the bottom or near the bottom. So show me your retention and promotion rates over the last few years, and then let's have a conversation about how important black people are to you.
And his response?
No. That part I didn't say to him about the promotion and retention. I'm saying that to them now. That part of it.
Well,
show me that now.
Well, I can tell you this here because I've been a part of the conversations. Of course, I'm a 3-time board member of the National Association of Black Journalists, life member as well. We have already reached out to the NFL Network with regards to what took place with you. There's going to be a phone call tomorrow. There's going to be a follow-up meeting. I will be a participant in that meeting. And so I can guarantee you, if they thought sitting across the table from you made them a little uneasy.
And here's, Roland.
Trust me, what's going to happen when I'm sitting across that table.
No, and I know. But here's the other thing that's the dirty little trick that they play. So after I announced that I was not being brought back, then they start sending out background information to media members, right? Don't quote us, but here's background information you have. And they're so simple not to think that I know these people and these people are going to give me this information.
Right.
And so one of them at the end of it, which was so telling, it was sort of an, oh, by the way, Jim's immediate supervisor is a person of color, which is why I said to people, be smart here. When people say person of color to you, ask them specifically about black people.
Right. Because
my immediate supervisor is not black, because we don't have anyone above me in the newsroom who is black.
And that's why I remember it was a few years ago, we were going after CNN on something, and one of the members suggested that we not be aggressive in going into the meeting and demanding they hire black journalists. They said hire minority journalists. I said, yo, the B in NABJ is black. Roland walking in demanding black people. I said, now, if the Asian American journalists and the Hispanic journalists and Native American journalists, they want to have their own meeting, they can do that. I said, what I'm not going to do is advocate for them to hire minorities, then they go hire some non-black people, then they go, see, we hire some minorities. I'm like, no, that's not going to fly. It ain't going to fly at all. Reese, you got a question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Trotter. My question is, do the athletes have any kind of unexercised leverage in this situation to demand, interviews from black journalists, to demand more representation in that arena? Sounds like you've been pushing it, but I haven't heard as much from the NFL players.
No, look, the reality is that the players can't even come together for their own good. Like, we hear players complaining about not having guaranteed contracts. Well, if players ever got together and said to the owners, we ain't signing any extensions unless we get guaranteed deals, I have a feeling the landscape would change and you would get that. So me personally, I was not expecting players to step up on this behalf. I am advocating and fighting for them, whether they realize it or not, to say, for you to be covered fairly and justly, you need to have some people who share your cultural and life experiences at that decision-making table to make sure that you are covered fairly, whether they realize it or not.
Erica?
Mr. Trotter, thank you for all of your work. My question is specifically, can you talk to us to share what does it mean? And you've said it several different ways, but can you talk about what is the impact of not having a Black journalist in the newsroom? What are some of the things that you're able to capture that someone who is not specifically a Black journalist able to capture in that specific space?
No, it's a good question. It's pretty obvious. When you share certain life experiences with people, let's look at it this way, right? The focus, like what Colin Kaepernick was fighting against, police brutality against people of color. White folks have never experienced that to the extent that we have as Black people. And so when we talk about how to cover that story, they see it differently than we do. And I will give you an example of that. When Colin first sat down and Steve Weiss broke the story that he was demonstrating against the anthem, I live in San Diego. The 49ers were playing in San Diego that following week, and ESPN, where I was working, assigned me to cover that game. And before the game, I'm doing a hit for SportsCenter. And the anchor back in Bristol, Connecticut is framing the question in such a way that Colin is being disrespectful to the flag and to the military and all of these other groups. And as I'm listening to it, I said to myself, am I going to let him create this narrative, or am I going to step up and say, no, that's not what he's demonstrating against? And so because of my life experiences, I took the other tack and said, no, this is what he is demonstrating against. So that's my point to you. White folks probably saw that situation a lot differently than we as Black people saw that. And the fact that we could be at the table to say, have you considered looking at this story this way, makes it so important for Colin Kaepernick and for Black players. And again, with 60 to 70% of the league being Black, I think it's important that they have representation at the table.
Great.
Thank you, Roland. And thank you, Brother Trotter. You were trained by some of the giants. I think about the great Sam Yet, who, of course, Tennessee State University.
And Dr. Lee Thornton.
No question.
And Dr. Lee Thornton.
No question. These brothers and sisters who fought these battles in these newsrooms in the 60s and 70s. You know, the article that Sports Illustrated did covering this moment, I know they opened that article by saying that this might demonstrate the limits of media when it comes to confronting figures of power. How do you assess what is going on right now in your experience against the long arc of Black struggles to break this up? I mean, what are the limits of media, and how important even is spaces we control, whether it be your podcast or Black Star Network, to kind of counter some of this?
I think it's just, are you willing to fight? It really is that simple for me. Are you willing to stand up and fight? Really? It's just that simple to me. So if you're just going to go along to get along, we're never going to make change. But I have said to even players about some of the things they're fighting for, and Black coaches, I have said to them about what they are fighting for in terms of representation as head coaches, that there is not progress without sacrifice. And we have learned that from the civil rights movement. So if it means I'm taking a hit for us to make some progress, I'm good, because I'll get another job. That doesn't worry me. But if what is happening now in terms of Roland meeting with the network, or NABJ meeting with the network, or others exposing what's going on, leads to us having representation in that newsroom, I'm good. And believe me, I will sleep fine and comfortably because of that.
Jim Trotter, man, always appreciate it. And I can, you know how I roll. And I can guarantee you, when we sit across that table, it's gonna be straight, no chaser, and folk can't come with the people of color stuff. I'm like, no, I done seen that movie way too many times. And so we appreciate your work. Let us know where you're headed next. And you always got a place to come here and chat.
I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate all the work that you do, sincerely.
Jim, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Roland.
All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. We're going to talk more about, again, Jim said sacrifice and what we have to be willing to do. Yesterday, I mentioned the Clorox company, the amount of money that black people spend on their products, and they got to answer some questions. How much are you spending with black people? I'm going to rope these two things together to unpack for our audience. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
On the next, A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, Re-Entry Anxiety. A lot of us are having trouble transitioning in this post-pandemic society and don't even realize it. We are literally stuck between two worlds, in purgatory. How to get out of purgatory and regain your footing and balance.
What emotions they're feeling and being able to label them, because as soon as you label an emotion, it's easier to self-regulate. It's easier to manage that emotion.
On the next, A Balanced Life on Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Vivian Green.
Hi, this is Essence Atkins.
Hey everybody, this is your man Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
Been frozen out.
Facing an extinction level event.
We don't fight this fight right now. You're not going to have black on you. All right, folks, as y'all see, it's not just our panel in studio. Dr. Julianne Malveaux has her class at the University of California. Is it Northridge in Los Angeles? Is that what it is? That's y'all. Y'all can talk. Y'all ain't gonna get in trouble. All right, it's all good. So they're hanging out in the studio today, and don't worry about it, y'all. I'm gonna make all of them pay a fee leaving to join the fan club. Hey, come on, that's right. Them damn chairs over there ain't free. All right, we're talking about again this media battle and. Y'all, I've been walking y'all through this, and I've been explaining to people why these things matter. It's a question of who controls the narrative. And what we have to understand is that mainstream white media, it's about power control. And so what happens is way too many of us get excited about who's in front of the camera. We sit here and we see a Robin Roberts. Right now, CNN is talking about doing a weekly show with Gayle King and Charles Barkley, and we see the numbers being thrown around, and we see these things. But what I keep trying to explain to people is about power. When I was in the 10th grade in my high school, Jack Case High School, Magnet School for Communications, the first semester, Mary Waits would not let us walk into the studio. We had to learn glossary terms first. And I'll never forget when the second semester, the first day, she unlocks the door, and all the students rush to the set. And so I'm watching all them rush to the set, and I turn to her, she's to my right, I said, where does a person sit who tell them what to do? And she says, well, they sit over there in the control room. I said, well, I'll be in the control room. See, I understood then what power. Power is not the person sitting in front of the camera. Power was the person who's actually behind the camera. Now, and I had one of my staffers at TV One who was desperate to be on air, and she really could have been a fantastic executive producer. And she came to me and she says, yeah, but you on air. I said, no, boo, you got that confused. I said, I'm host and managing editor. I said, if I didn't have the managing editor part and I was just the host, I wouldn't want the job. I said, because the power is in controlling the content. And what we have to understand is that's what we're dealing with here. And so when Jim is talking about this battle with the NFL Network, they know exactly what they are doing. But it's not just folks in media. It's also beyond media. It's also economics. When we talk about these companies, when we are waging this battle for black-owned media dollars, we have to understand this fight is not just black-owned media dollars. It's for black folks, period. When you look at the millions and billions being spent right now on professional services when it comes to law firms and accounting firms and engineering firms and all this in these companies, we're being frozen out. So yesterday I talked about the Clorox company, how my salespeople have been trying to reach them. And for y'all to understand something, when y'all hear the Clorox company, go to my iPad. These literally are the products of that company. And I want y'all to see if y'all use any of these products. You see Clorox, but you see Pine Sol, you see SOS, you see Kingsford Charcoal, you see, again, Hidden Valley Ranch. Yeah, all y'all eating them chicken wings, y'all know what that is. I mean, so I want y'all to understand, this here is a multi-billion-dollar company. And they got a brother who sits on the board, Christopher Williams. I sent him a text last night, haven't heard back. I sent a text message, email on LinkedIn to their chief diversity officer and their chief marketing officer. Neither one have gotten back to me. Y'all know I'm gonna be calling all three of them directly. But the reason I'm walking y'all through this is that the only way this stuff changes for black folks is when we understand you got to follow the money. I've said on the before, this book right here, Martin Depp's book, Operation Breadbasket. This is what changed economics for black folks in Chicago. And I was reading last night when they went after the A&P grocery store, but I want y'all to understand why I also keep saying our civil rights groups have got to stop negotiating only for donations to them. When they negotiated the deal with A&P, this is what they actually got. A&P agreed to continue all service contracts in consultation with Breadbasket, ensure black building contractors and open bidding process, advertise with black-owned agencies, market the products of black producers and suppliers at all 160 stores, maintain substantial balances in Seaway and Independence banks, black banks, hire a black executive as a liaison with black businesses, and establish an A&P advisor group to counsel black business owners. Folks, what we're talking about here is money. And so when we're talking about what the battle is, I get the folks who are fighting for reparations. This is billions of dollars being spent right now. And y'all are out there using all these Clorox products. Our research shows that 35% of the people who buy their products are black. So why aren't we asking what's the return on our investment? Rishi, that's really what Jim is talking about when he's saying 67% black folks. What are black folks in the newsroom? Right. What are the executive jobs? Where are the high-paying jobs? Mm-hmm. The jobs that create wealth for families, mm-hmm. in terms of how we always get locked out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we are not just the mules of society. We're not just the you don't just build everything off our backs. We need to have a seat at the table. And when we do have a seat at the table, in theory, that creates more dividends for our community. And like you said, it's not just about a one-time cash payment. We saw with the racial reckoning, all of these pledges and all of these one-time payments, and now people are like, who said that? 3 years later. So
and 36% of the DEI jobs they created have been wiped out.
Well, also, DI jobs tend to go to white women. Right. You know what I'm saying? So they found a way to have diversity still staying home. Yep. So we need to find a way to get our seats at the table and bring it back home to us.
See, the thing here, Erica, that what I'm pushing, and what gets me is when these Simple Simon Negroes, who have no understanding, first of all, who ain't never read about Operation Breadbasket, who ain't got no clue about boycotts and processes. You sitting here begging for the money we're gonna do for self. I'm like, fool, $322 billion is spent every year on advertising. Black consumers are providing that money. Money should be coming back to black-owned media, but you've got these people who don't understand the game. Or as Bill Duke said in the movie High Flying Bird, they created the game on top of the game. This is a money conversation.
Oh, yeah. Always. How do we think that we have the country that we're sitting in? And to Reese's point, talking about being mules and a seat at the table, let's be very clear. We were the ones that were actually clearing the land, clearing the wood. So we have always been at the forefront for the labor conversation. One of the things that I like to bring out when I talk about us is that we are essentially trillionaires because that is what we bring into the market annually. And so Black people are the most philanthropic group of any other group. When we think about, and this is where thinking comes into play, when we actually think about where we are historically and where we can be and where generations behind us can be, it does require not just being in front of the camera, but understanding the model, which is something that you break down and that you have shown us, tried and true. Be sure that you just are not being a part of the conversation for the sake of being a part of the conversation, but understanding the components of that conversation so that when you walk in to speak with the NFL, when you walk in to speak with ad agencies, you're speaking with power and you're speaking with something that we're all familiar with, data, because the data drives the money.
And Greg, I'm not waiting. When King wrote Why We Can't Wait, I mean, I love the people who keep saying, man, you know, why you gotta be pressing so hard? I'm like, yo, because this is a money game. And the thing is, you use your leverage. You understand power. But people don't understand. We're going to talk in a bit about the vice president's statement. Thank God she's there because the White House didn't issue a statement on the death of Randall Robinson. That's right. The vice president did. Right. The thing is that apartheid was brought down by hitting the money. That's what did it. The divestment campaign, thank you so very much, Ken Williams at Polaroid and Carol Hunter Williams, the Polaroid Revolutionary Workers. Folk need to understand who they were. They were on that thing before the Congressional Black Caucus was. And so we have to understand that when we walk into the room, what Reverend Jackson did with Operation Breadbasket, they would launch Don't Buy. And when they said don't buy and don't shop, Black folks didn't buy, didn't shop. They brought A&P to their knees. They brought multiple companies to their knees because they broke their backs economically. That's what Montgomery was about. What you can't have is I had some sister on my Instagram page literally say, well, I ain't gonna stop using Clorox. I'm like, dumbass. I said, you the perfect person who I'm talking about. You are precisely why we can't get paid because you love the product so much, don't even realize you simply are a sharecropper.
No question. You know, we from the South, so you know every brand of brief is Clorox. Just like every copy is Xerox. We brand loyal. We don't even know if I'm looking for Clorox. But you know, listening again to Brother Trotter, no Sam Yet, no Jim Trotter. But Sam Yet had a robust black press. No Sam Lacey. Eric and I were sitting here talking about Bill Rhoden. No Sam Lacey, no Bill Rhoden.
Hold tight 1 second. Something wrong with Greg's mic. See, the mic is not on.
Oh, okay. It must have failed. That's how I put it up here. So Bill, no. As we were saying, Eric and I were talking. No Sam Lacey at the Afro of Baltimore. No Bill Rhoden for the New York Times. You know, you came out of a black high school that trained you well, and then went into the black press and the white press. You ran a Chicago Defender. Things done changed, as Biggie would say. In the 60s, 64, 65, 66, we were setting fires to the cities. What's our leverage now? A&P is worried about what's going to happen next. Dr. King is assassinated. Jesse and everyone else in that movement, we would like to have Dr. King alive, but the threat was real. The threat was real in the summer of 2020. As Reese, as you say, this is the threat, so let's run out there and throw everything out the street. Right. So the question we have is, what's our leverage now? If there's no we, there's no ability to scare them. Roger Goodell is acting crazy like that because he can. Right. And now, again, finally, that's what makes this space so important. We're not walking into the door asking for anything with nothing that we're walking from. When you walk in the door, you got a company, a profit-driven company that's growing by the day, and watch, as this thing continues to grow, that's when they start calling you. The first question they're gonna ask is, how can we put Roland Martin out of business? How much to bring you into us? Can we buy a share? Can we come in? Because they only respond to threats. They don't respond to begging, and because you don't wait, that's the strategy to get free. Don't wait for them.
Right. And so what I want people to understand, as I said to Jim, we are going to be meeting with the NFL Network. And I will be in that meeting. And y'all know how I roll. Ask Jeff Zucker at CNN what happened. when he said, no, we'll meet with NABJ, but we're not gonna meet with them if Roland Martin's there. So he didn't meet with them. They had to appoint 5 black folks. His ass gone. He got ran out later. The point I'm making is, this is what I need y'all watching to do. Y'all watching and listening, you are the troops in the battle. The problem is, we've got generals, but what cannot happen is we engage in a war and the troops don't show up. And let me be very clear, and let me just be on record right now, and you can call this a threat if you want to. All of you African Americans who sit on corporate boards, come on now, you got there because of the Black Freedom Movement. You got there because of the battle of Earl Graves and Black enterprise in the 80s and 90s. And what's not going to happen, you are not going to sit on corporate boards and pick up your stock options and make your money and make your family rich, and you're not advocating on behalf of other people. So I'm letting everybody know right now, every day, let me be perfectly clear, every day we're going to do a Where's Our Money segment. I'm going to name a company every day. I'm going to show you the face of the black board member every day. And I'm going to personally call that black board member, and I'm going to ask them, are they advocating on behalf of black businesses while they're sitting there on the board? I want to see results. What I don't want to see is the same old same. So if y'all want to play this game, we can play it. But I'm telling you right now, I'm not waiting. And the deal is this here. You can't stop me from talking because I own it. And for everybody, and for all of y'all who are confused, and you may be sitting here saying, well, I don't understand why you're trying to go so hard, because remember, next week we commemorate the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in Memphis on April 4th. And see, what I'm not going to be doing on April 4th, I'm not about to sit here and do these damn commemorations where we sit here and do the same old same, because I want to remind y'all on April 3rd, 1968, MLK specifically talked about, and he named companies in that sermon at Mason Temple. And if any of y'all wondering, man, why are you going so hard on this? I need y'all to understand this is what King wrote in his book, Where Do We Go From Here? Where he said there are 4 institutions that are prime position to liberate black America: the Negro Church, the Negro Press, Negro fraternities and sororities, and Negro professional associations. And this is what he said: too many Negro newspapers have veered away from their traditional role as protest organs agitating for social change, and have turned to the sensational and the conservative in place of the substantive and the militant. To all these companies not spending money with black people, on this show, we're substantive and we're militant. And we're coming. Don't say you were not warned. We come back, we'll talk about Republicans who are targeting Tennessee State in that state, want to get rid of the entire board. Plus, we'll also share what the Vice President had to say about Randall Robinson, who passed away on Friday, as well as her visit to Tanzania. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
A lot of these corporations or people that are running stuff push black people if they're doing a certain thing. What that does is it creates a butterfly effect of any young kid who, you know, wants to leave any situation they're in, and the only people they see are people that are doing this. So I gotta be a gangster, I gotta shoot, I gotta sell, I gotta do this in order to do it. And it just becomes a cycle. But when someone comes around and is making other, we don't do, you know, they don't want to push it or put money into it. So that's definitely something I'm trying to fix too, is just show there's other avenues. You don't gotta be a rapper, you don't gotta be a ball player, you can be a country singer, you can be an opera singer, you can be a damn whatever, you know? Showing the different avenues, and that is possible, and it's hard for people to realize it's possible until someone does it.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
This is Judge Mathis.
Hi, I'm Teresa Griffin.
Hi, my name is Latoya Luckett, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
I've been warning y'all about these Republicans in these red states, and they were going to be coming after HBCUs next. When Tennessee State, when that study came out showing they were owed $500 million, folks were like, oh, they need to get their money. And when Tennessee State asked for $250 million of the $500 million, all of a sudden the white Republicans in Tennessee began to ask all sorts of questions. Then the comptroller launched an audit questioning their practices, challenging the leadership. Now a House committee in Tennessee literally wants to get rid of the Board of Trustees at Tennessee State. Now, I want y'all to understand, all this time they were quiet about Tennessee State. But when Tennessee State started asking for the money, I hope y'all see the recurring theme. When they started asking for the money, then all of a sudden, folk now want to pay attention to Tennessee State. They were questioning them about, why this influx of students? Because they start offering the scholarships and recruiting them because black kids want to go there. And they're going to Tennessee State, not the other schools in Tennessee. Then they want to talk about, the graduation rate at Tennessee State. What's the graduation rate at the University of Tennessee? That was a statement that was actually made by my next guest, Ramesh Akbari. She is a state senator there in Tennessee. She literally challenged them in the committee when the issue came up. And so, Senator Akbari, glad to have you here. So, all of a sudden, Lord, the state of Tennessee, all of a sudden so concerned about Tennessee State.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly been a developing story, I think, for the past several months. With the initial forming of an ad hoc committee to investigate Tennessee State's dormitories and admission practices. I'm on that committee as well. Then I think it reached a point with the comptroller's report. Obviously, there were some very aggressive recommendations that I do not support, including removing the entire board, taking over the university and moving it back to a board of regents that only manages community colleges, removing the management. There are some good recommendations that I think the state can partner with Tennessee State on. That's what my focus is. But yeah, it really has been pretty aggressive and ridiculous, some of the actions that have been proposed and now taken.
So they came with these recommendations, but replacing the board wasn't one of them.
It was replacing the board, but not restructuring it to reduce it down to 5 members. So about in 2016, all of our state institutions were allowed to have their own boards, their locally governed institutions. And Tennessee State, like everyone else, formed their board. The governor made all the recommendations. It was confirmed by the General Assembly. Now there is a move by the Senate Education Committee to reduce that board down to 5, which to me, if you have a problem with the board, vacate the board. I don't agree with that. I think it's divisive. It's unfair. It's overreaching. The whole purpose of a board is so that they can govern an institution independently. But to reduce it down to 5 just says, to me, it sends this message that Tennessee State is less than.
First of all, are y'all getting support? I mean, I've been inquiring different people. Where's the Tennessee branch of the NAACP? Where are other organizations? I mean, are they raising a ruckus? What's going on?
Well, I'll tell you, there has been a lot of attention on this issue. We really thought that a deal was worked out, and it still is maintained in the House where the board will not sunset for another year. They'll have an opportunity to look at some recommendations and really have some self-centered changes, not anything that really involves the state. And so there's still hope, Roland. This happened in the Senate Education Committee. That legislation goes to the Government Operations Committee. Then it goes to the floor. Of course, in the House, the bill has to match. And right now, the House is sticking to a 1-year extension of that board and allowing the board to really do the things that they feel they need to do.
But see, this is why, the reason I'm saying that, this is why, here's the whole deal. You on the inside, y'all are negotiating the terms. Outside groups should be whooping their ass, bringing heat. That should have been, that committee meeting should have been packed. If people are quiet and just sort of laying back, you can't hit them after the fact, after all of a sudden the bill gets passed and the governor signs it.
I'll tell you, I do think there's an opportunity for them to be there in the Government Operations Committee. And, you know, when this ad hoc committee was first formed and they heard the comptroller's report, that room was packed. It was a sea of blue, of TSU blue. When they went to the Government Operations Subcommittee and it was recommended the board have a one-year extension, a sea of blue. All the Board of Trustees, the football coach, Eddie George, Dr. Glover, of course, was there supported by her team. I think that the hope is the House, their stance will remain. Obviously, we're still fighting outside and inside, and I think that you will see a lot of alums who are, of course, expressing their opinions and trying to work to what the real solution can be.
All right, Senator Akbar, keep us abreast of what happens.
I will. Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Greg, you're a graduate of Tennessee State. The point I'm making is, if you don't keep the foot on their necks, their foot will be on our necks.
Damn right, Roland. First of all, that punk bastard Jason Mumpower. This is the comptroller. This is the same man you covered when you talked to the citizens of Mason, Tennessee. This Trump bastard. Let me tell you something about these bastards in the state of Tennessee. I was student body president at Tennessee State when they tried it before. That was when the great Fred Humphreys, our frat brother, was alive. George Pruitt, who was Vice President of Student Affairs, just published a book. He was the president of Thomas Edison University for years, but he was Vice President of Student Affairs at Tennessee State in the 70s, when these hillbillies, the State Board of Regents, chaired by an illiterate named Roy Nixon, this punk, followed by Tom Gardner, another punk. Tennessee State used to be under that Board of Regents. As she said, the 2016 move to create independent boards is recent. We used to be under the Board of Regents. They tried to merge Tennessee State with a little punk place they built in downtown Nashville called the University of Tennessee at Nashville, and they said, oh, this isn't a real university, we're just going to offer some extended learning classes. And then once they built the building, they immediately certified it as a university and tried to take Tennessee State over. We went to court. Tennessee State became the first HBCU in the history of the country to take over a white school, and they still mad about it. Avon Williams was the attorney. I'm going to end with this. These bastards need to be punched dead in their damn face. Jason Mumpower, you illiterate bastard. Let me be very clear. This means war, punk. You want Tennessee State, as you say, not only pack the hearing rooms. Harold Love, who fought for that money, his daddy was the state representative at the time I was in college. While they're fighting on the inside, we need to roll over them like water. This is what I'm saying about this Trump indictment. It's cool, but they rolling back in North Carolina. Right. They're ignoring everything. These white boys are playing for keeps. Right. No more talk. Jason Mumpower, you bastard. Let's dance.
The thing here, Reese, when we talk about the actions here, again, you're critical of Tennessee State housing issues, but you were withholding the money all these years. Right. Had you given the money up, like you did the University of Tennessee, they would have had adequate housing. And here's the crazy thing. University of Tennessee had the same housing problems.
Right. Well, you know, black people are always expected to make $1 out of 15 cents. And when issues of racism and systemic racism are being tackled, the first thing that they go to is the competency question and trying to call into question whether black leadership is competent. Black leadership is competent. Right. It's the systemic racism that's constantly beating us down that if anybody else had to deal with it, they wouldn't have gotten even half as far as we have in this race. So quit trying to gaslight and deflect and pay up.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, and I remember covering this story, Roland, guest hosting for you about a month and a half ago, and we talked specifically about this issue at Tennessee State. And what I was blown away with when I read through that audit report of the comptroller, Jason Humphreys, who then put together this special kind of group to look through Tennessee State, is that they were fighting back to say, listen, no, we have money. We have money in the coffers. This is what we have. Reese talked about the housing issue. If we would have had what was promised to us, then we could have addressed the housing issue with quadruple the population of students that have enrolled in HBCUs. So I would really implore people to really get behind Tennessee State in whatever capacity is necessary, because they are being gaslit and they actually have a very, very clean audit report, even though the comptroller and this heroes team that he converged to get together with these students' complaints and things of this nature, doing everything they can to destroy historically black college and university.
Well, I know you got to go very quickly. We know this. Put Glenda Baskin Glover against any president in that funky state. Dr. Glover not only has an MBA, she's a CPA. Put her against the president of the University of Tennessee, University of Michigan. Gaslit is the word. They after Dr. Glover. They after this sister.
Right. That's right. Because again, when they said, "Oh, you want the $500 million?" Y'all ain't controlling that extra $500 million.
Her books are clean.
It's always the money.
As a whistle.
It's always the money. And so here's what I'm asking: Tennessee State Conference, NAACP, where the hell y'all at?
Yes.
How are you not mobilizing all of your chapters in Tennessee? I'm just trying to understand where y'all at. I'm waiting. We come back. A prominent black official in Los Angeles found guilty today of corruption. We'll tell you about Margaret Lee Thomas, and also Vice President Kamala Harris in Tanzania. And she also pays tribute to Randall Robinson, who passed away on Friday at the age of 81. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, you're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Coming up on the next Black Table, a conversation with Professor Howard W. French on his new book, Born in Blackness, covering 600 years of global African history and helping us understand how the world we know today is a gift from black people.
There could have been no West without Africa and Africa.
That's on the next Black Table with me, Greg Carr, only on the Black Star Network.
Hey, I'm Antonique Smith.
Hello, everyone. It's Kiara Sheard.
Hey, I'm Taj.
I'm Coco.
And I'm Lily. And we're SWV.
What's up, y'all? It's Ryan Destiny, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
One of Los Angeles County's most prominent politicians was found guilty today of federal corruption charges related to special benefits his son received at the University of Southern California. Margaret Lee Thomas, a 30-year Los Angeles power broker in politics and a vocal advocate for civil rights and racial justice, was found guilty of charges of conspiracy, robbery, honest services, mail fraud, and 4 counts of honest services wire fraud. He now faces the possibility of years in federal prison and permanently losing his seat on the Los Angeles City Council, which he has been suspended from for the past 17 months. Ridley Thomas is 68 years old. And again, this is shocking to a number of people in Los Angeles. Because, again, he has been one of the most prominent public figures in that city for quite some time. And so we'll be getting additional details there. Folks, Vice President Kamala Harris toured Tanzania today, the second country on her week-long stop in Africa. First visit was at the State House in Dar es Salaam, where Tanzania's first female president, Samia Hassan, greeted the first female U.S. vice president for a bilateral meeting. Harris explained America's push to strengthen democracy on the continent.
Today, then, is part of the strengthening of the relationship between our two countries. And under your leadership, I have full confidence that we will be able to do just that.
It's my commitment. Thank you.
And the Biden-Harris administration is committed to strengthening this relationship going forward. Today, we will discuss many topics. We have discussed a few already. But the topics we will continue to discuss include the issue, as you have raised, of democracy and good governance. We will discuss and continue to discuss the issue of long-term economic growth for Tanzania, the climate crisis, and then regional and global challenges. On the subject of democracy and good governance, as I said in Ghana, polling tells us the vast majority of Africans support democracy over other forms of government. This reflects a shared desire between us. And the United States will continue to work alongside democratic governments in support of democratic aspirations, and the democratic aspirations in particular of the people of this continent. Madam President, under your leadership, Tanzania has taken important and meaningful steps. And President Joe Biden and I applaud you.
Thank you.
You have been open to working with the political opposition. We have discussed that. You have lifted the ban on political party public rallies. You worked to improve the freedom of the press. And just yesterday, you participated, as you mentioned, in the Summit for Democracy. On the subject of economic growth, good governance delivers predictability, stability, and rule of law, which businesses need to invest. Working together, it is our shared goal to increase economic investment in Tanzania and strengthen our economic ties.
Of course, this is the Vice President, again, touring there with the President of Tanzania. She is the only female head of state of the 54 countries there on the continent. She also met with survivors of the 1998 bombing of the U.S. Embassy there in Tanzania. Harris visited the memorial on the embassy wall with the victims' names. It's been 25 years since the August 7th, 1998 terror attack. More than 200 people were killed in nearly simultaneous truck bomb explosions in two East African cities, one at the United States Embassy in Tanzania, the other at the U.S. Embassy in Kenya. Joining us now is Ann Griffin, Senior Fellow for National Security and International Policy for the Center for American Progress. Ann, glad to have you here. It is not getting the appropriate attention from mainstream media, no shock. But how important is this week-long visit of the Vice President?
Oh, it's incredibly important, and it's unfortunate that we tend to struggle with getting the proper media for issues related to the African continent. But it's great because I would say at least five cabinet members have actually taken that trip to Africa as a follow-up to the White House Africa Leaders Summit. So that's great. And of course, all of the issues that Vice President Kamala has mentioned are critical to the relationship and building that partnership with the African continent.
Of course, she came bearing checks, also providing opportunities for export deals as well. And the point that we keep raising, this is the youngest continent. It's also 7 of the 10 fastest growing economies. This country needs to have a relationship with the African nations there.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, it's interesting, of course, because there are two Black senior level officials who are talking, and the fact that Kamala Harris, is of African descent, you know, is important. And I think the role that women play within Africa and frankly within the world is key. And that's really a great way that we can use the symbolism of that trip to build on the work that we need, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, innovation, and creativity, when it comes to really building up the continent and the relationships between the two. And I should say as well, the role of the diaspora is critical. And I think that's something that she's said already, of course, quite a few times when she was in Ghana, and will continue to keep that momentum going through her trip to Tanzania and Zambia. Because of that is a powerhouse in itself, not only the entrepreneurship aspects, but also the political and policy-oriented focus that the diaspora can wield in improving the relationship between both regions.
And of course, Ella Johnson Sirleaf was the former president of Liberia and the first female African head of state. And the thing here, the vice president has also talked about the importance of developing women as leaders and entrepreneurs there on the continent.
Well, absolutely. And I think, you know, I guess what I was trying to say is one Black vice president, two, a Black president is a critical and really strong symbol. But yes, there is money behind what they're saying and what they're announcing, and that is critical too. I think that's an issue where I think we have a role to play in terms of making sure that they come through with those commitments and those promises. But certainly the $1 billion that is being discussed about a global, what they're calling a global initiative that will buttress the work that has been done and is beginning to be done, focusing on youth and women is critical here. So those numbers are quite high, and it's just up to us, I think, as we follow and advocate for that sustaining those numbers in terms of promoting economic growth.
All right, Ann Griffin, we surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, Reese, we know you got something to say about your girl.
I mean, I just think it's really important. I thank you, Roland, for covering this. So much we take for granted about how historic and significant this is. And I know people will say, well, why is she over in Africa? Why she ain't in it? She's been to all the states. She's been to where the problems are. She's traveled the country. She's done hundreds of events. She's also traveled to Asian countries multiple times. She's traveled to Europe multiple times. So I think it's really important that she's showing the importance of Africa, which, mind you, the last president now indicted, Donald Trump, called shithole countries. And I think it's really important that we understand that the United States is a superpower for now, but that is not a position that is inevitable for us to maintain. So when you talk about the way that China has invested in Africa, when you talk about the way that other European countries have invested in Africa, we're a little bit behind the ball. But it's important that she's highlighting this is an investment, and when you have an investment, you get a return on it. So there is something in there for us, in addition to the global security that we have when we have a stronger Africa, but also in terms of like announcing the nickel factory. Some of the supply chain issues that we've dealt with have been as a result of some of these sorts of issues. And so an investment we get a return on is an investment worth making.
Erica, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Women's History Month, and so I've said this, Roland Martin Unfiltered on Black Star Network is mainstream media, so she is being covered healthily here. One of the other things that I want to say is during the last regime, the former National Security Advisor, I believe it was John Bolton, he did put something in place in terms of their strategic outlook for Africa. And one line I do remember specifically in that language is that they wanted to have more of a transactional relationship with Africa. And so as Reese pointed out, we're a bit behind the 8 ball because I know you've been in Africa a lot, I've been a lot, we've all traveled. But I mean, you can see the imprint of France. You can see where the Netherlands are there. You can see where Russia is there. You can see where China is there, and they've not made good on their promises. So a very healthy relationship definitely only treads well for the United States as well. And it's good to see Vice President Kamala Harris there.
Greg, when I was at the NBA All-Star game, they had a panel that dealt with the continent of Africa. Burna Boy was at halftime as well. Adam Silver said something that I think it was he had 10% of all the NBA players either had 1 or 2 African parents. And it was interesting because when Gayle King moderates the panel, the Newsmakers breakfast every year, and when Silver told her that they would focus on Africa, she was like, she literally said in the panel, are you sure that that would be of interest? And he says, yes. And they talked about on the panel NBA Africa. They talked about all the work that's been happening there, all things that have been going. And Silver made clear how important it is happening there on the continent. And one of the things that I asked the question to them, but one of the things that as I was sitting there, one of the things that I've always said, the difference is always how we look at it. There's so many people who think about Africa in those Sally Struthers commercials with flies flying around some kid's face, can you send $1 for a day? And America's always looked at African nations or supporting the continent from an aid standpoint, not an investment standpoint.
That's right. Well, I mean, they shouldn't. Look at us.
Right.
In other words, aid, we built your damn country. You came and got us, and then you came back for everything that's there. As John Clark said, everybody wants out of Africa everything it has, and they don't want to pay for it. I hope Gayle King was asking a rhetorical question, given that Giannis Antetokounmpo, I don't know why they call him the Greek freak, the man is from Nigeria. Joel Embiid, Cameroon. Absolutely. We see what's happening in Central Africa with, Dikembe Mutombo, who has been in Central Africa working. Africa is the future. As you said, in Nigeria, they're predicting by the end of this century,
there may be as many as 700 million people in Nigeria, average age under 20 years old. The United States is already, I kind of feel bad a little bit for the vice president because they're sending her on a task that is absolutely essential and they want to play to her African heritage. In other words, Ghana, yes, as you know well, Ghana's a point of entry. It's friendly to us. Ado is saying, but Ado said, we're not going to play great game politics now. Why? Because China, as you say, Reese, they're not just knocking at the door. President Hassan in Tanzania, that's right there on the Red Sea. Yeah. And where she's going next for the second time, by the way, because Kamala Harris's grandfather, P.V. Gapalon, was an advisor to Kenneth Kaunda, the first president of Zambia, the continent's largest producers of copper. And they owe and have defaulted to China on $17 billion. When they were here, those African leaders a couple of months ago, Anthony Blinken and them signed a deal with some private businesses in the United States to mine copper. Kamala Harris is over there trying to stop something that has already left the station. What? China and Russia in Africa. I don't know if they can catch up, quite frankly.
The vice president is there. She did take time to pay tribute to the founder of Trans Africa, Randall Robinson. He passed away on Friday at the age of 81 at his home in St. Kitts, surrounded by his family. And of course, we paid tribute to him on Monday's show. This is the statement that was released by the office of the vice president. Randall Robinson was shaped by his searing childhood experiences with poverty and segregation and spent the rest of his life trying to ease the suffering and strengthen the status of others. From his public legal aid work in Boston to his international human rights advocacy to his work to shape policy in the halls of Congress, Randall improved the lives of tens of millions and advanced the cause of justice. His leadership of Trans-Africa helped forge new connections, secure rights, and establish ties across the African diaspora. He risked his own health to secure safety for many Haitians fleeing violence, and the work of the Free South Africa movement helped inspire a global outcry, end generations of oppression, and begin a new chapter of freedom and inclusion on the continent of Africa. Randall wrote so powerfully about those experiences and ultimately his disappointment with the pace of progress in his memory, and let us continue to fight to build an America worthy of his efforts and never forget that people have the power to change the world. Today, Doug and my prayers are with his family. Reese, there's somebody who's watching or listening, and they say, okay, fine, she issues a statement. Mm-hmm. But what they don't understand is the White House didn't issue a statement. Mm-hmm. For the vice president to do so, when you acknowledge someone's passing, first of all, it's in the historical record. Mm-hmm. Right. And we see statements released all the time by presidents. Mm-hmm. And I don't recall seeing, I don't know, I'll double check if President Barack Obama posted anything or President Bill Clinton, but this is important for the historical record, and not just for his family, but for people to understand that a Randall Robinson mattered. Right. And I mean, this is who Vice President Kamala Harris is. She is about giving voice to our community. And that isn't always the household name per se, the flashiest name that everybody knows. It's about amplifying our stories. And she has brought that perspective to the White House in terms of policy, but in terms of the groups that she's invited to the White House. These are not just the NAACP and the Legal Defense Fund. There's so many names that you probably have never heard of that she's given audience to around the country. And so this is significant because for all of the apathy that people have towards politics and the lack of gravitas people tend to assign to it these days, when you look back in history, people aren't looking at who won Twitter that day. People aren't looking at who CNN called breaking news for 5 hours on. They're looking at who are the leaders and of this country and what were they speaking about. And so that's why this is very significant. I'm way over time, Greg, but I do want to give you some time to share your thoughts and reflections on this great freedom fighter.
First of all, I'm glad that you're covering this, Roland. And I'll just say very quickly, I knew Randall Robinson. We read 2 of his books in Philadelphia Freedom Schools, The Debt, and we read this book on Haiti, which is probably why Clinton ain't saying nothing, because he was hell on the Clintons behind what they did to Aristide in Haiti. And for that matter, Ronald Reagan, who invaded Grenada, and his friend Maurice Bishop lost his life. I'll say this,
there may be no more important figure of African descent in foreign policy in the 20th century other than Randall Robinson. It's not Colin Powell, it's not Condoleezza Rice, because this man moved policy. The hunger strike. I mean, so when Kamala Harris honors herself, quite frankly, which I'm very happy to see, I'm glad Joe Biden didn't make a statement. I hope maybe you can find out recently, the Vice President said, no, let me make this statement. Because by connecting herself to Randall Robinson, she's speaking to history. 100 years from now, ain't nobody gonna remember Dusty Joe Biden, but Randall Robinson's name will only continue to enlarge. I'm glad that the Vice President took all those HBCU presidents to Ghana. We saw them in the, I hope you get to interview a couple of them. I saw the President Morgan and the President Howard. Randall Robinson walked away from power. He could have been anything. He could have had a cabinet position. He could have been Randall Robinson, when he left this country and went to live with his wife Hazel in St. Kitts, he said, I tried to love America. It didn't love me. And the minute I decided I'm not going to do it anymore, it was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. He says, wherever I am in the world, I am an African. I'm a Haitian. I'm a Nigerian. I'm an African from the United States. My country is my people. I'm so glad that the Vice President of the United States gave that statement because of the work of Randall Robinson. There are vice presidents of the United States, and one day soon the president of the United States, and more importantly, black policy that affects black people everywhere in the world as a result of the work of Randall Robinson and his comrades. Dr. Malvo and them know him. Jeremiah Wright was on his board. I won't get into it, but thank you for covering him because this country is showing who it is when they do not honor Randall Robinson. It's not about him, it's about them.
Well, we talk about folks, African Americans, who played a huge role in what's happening on the continent. I dare say the two most prominent figures would be Reverend Leon Sullivan.
Absolutely.
And Randall Robinson.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Those two there.
Agreed.
Gotta go to break. We come back. More on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. This is Erica's last show. She'll explain where she's going. She is heading out to the vast Midwest. I don't know what the hell is she thinking. She better have a big ass coat. So we'll explain all of that, and then we'll talk about issues when it comes to the brain. That's next. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
What's up, y'all? I'm Will Packer.
I'm Chrisette Michelle.
Hi, I'm Chaley Rose, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, y'all, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered. Y'all hear them nauseous students over there? Quiet down, y'all. You can get a shot of them. Get a shot of them. All right, y'all go ahead and wave. Y'all know Julian probably like one of them Catholic church nuns be cracking their knuckles with a ruler or something like that. You know doggone well. Don't let me have to call Method Man.
Clifford Harris.
Watch out now. Watch it.
Don't let me have to call. I can tell your class ain't familiar with Method Man. All right. They like, do tell. All right. So we haven't had our panel in our studio for since COVID. No. Erica requested this. Erica, tell everybody why.
So this is my final appearance with the VIP panel for this Thursday. It has been a wonderful 5 years. So first of all, shout out to Roland Martin Unfiltered. It was 5 years this year that my mentor at the time, who I was doing media training with, Dr. Ava, said, hey, love for you to have her on your show. Roland said, okay then. And so a week later, I've been on and started making regular appearances. And I think Reese said about 3 years ago, we were put together and were dubbed the Thursday VIP panel, throwing up the fist to close out the show and everything. So one thing I shared when I shared it live is that this is not a social media relationship. Y'all already know Reese, my boo. I have a relationship with Reese. I have a relationship with G, Greg.
No question.
I have a relationship with Roland. So these relationships will continue, but what I am doing actively on a weekly basis for this show is what's folding for me. And that's because other things are happening, as you well know. I was off the show for 15 months because in March of 2021, while traveling for work as a political executive, I was hit twice by an 18-wheel truck, sustained a number of injuries, but one of them being a moderate traumatic brain injury, and was a polytrauma patient. My parents are here with me. My elusive boyfriend, who people don't think exists, he's here with me.
Sorry, fellas. Sorry, fellas.
But these people
Get a shot, get a shot.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, Henry, turn that camera around. Get
Oh,
a shot.
my God. Oh, my goodness.
A lot of hearts breaking.
Oh, my God. No.
Right, especially that pastor in Georgia.
Oh, man.
But my
Especially that pastor in Georgia.
Great piece too.
I saw him
Okay.
at the Mount Auburn trial. He
you
was like,
did.
"Did you?"
Stop. You being messy, Roland.
No, I'm just
You
telling
being
you.
messy.
Look, I deal with facts. That happened.
You saw it.
Yeah, I saw him.
That's crazy.
He was down to Texas.
Bless. Oh my God. Been off the market. But these were some of the people, and there were many, many more that were a part of an amazing, amazing support system that allowed me to be able to recover the way that I did. As I mentioned, I was a polytrauma patient, had 9 practitioners. I'm down to 4, and so I am just very grateful to God. Definitely want to thank the Roland Martin Unfiltered viewing body. You all have sold into me tremendously. So this is not a goodbye. This is really a see you later. I'll still be collaborating with Reese on her show on Saturdays, the Reese Colbert Show.
That's what I'm talking about.
On Sirius XM 126 on 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Sundays. And I have expressed to the RMU team, who is a little salty with me, that listen, if you do need me in the host seat, please, please, please do not hesitate to call. But I'm listening to my body.
So you do the black table too?
Absolutely.
All right,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so she's not leaving the network.
No, but this is just a C-lot, so to speak. So.
But tell me about what you're going to do.
Oh,
No, that's not for everybody to know.
Oh.
So let's be very clear about that. But I am moving to higher ground, so I will be transitioning to another city
But
in the next year.
your work dealing with the brain.
Exactly. So you all know that out of that, brain health and centering unseen injuries has definitely been at my forefront. So, and I've made a decision to definitely move into the space of medicine in a much greater way. Wow. So I'm really excited about that. That's going to mean that I'm going to have to move, but I definitely have the support of my family, of my baby. I have the support of my practitioners who are very, very excited. And I just want to share this thing around brain health. One of the things that really helped me make this decision is that though I present well, I do a really, really hard, I work really hard to present well, is what my neuropsychologist would say. My executive functioning, which is in your prefrontal cortex, that is where emotional regulation, processing, reasoning, all of that lies, which is why young people, which we've seen on the other side of the screen, unfortunately, insurance rates are kind of high because their prefrontal cortex is not closed until mid-late 20s. So for me, that part of my brain that houses emotional regulation, organizing thoughts, reasoning, processing, is not still fully healed. So I thank God that I, am walking in healing, but I'm not 100%. So there are some things that I have made a command decision to do as it relates to my body. into my brain. And so I just do offer, for those of you who are not connected to the Reframe Brain, it is a podcast. It is a wellness community. Go to the reframebrain.com for your 5 best brain health tips and a playlist curated with you in mind. And we'll get to connect twice a month. But again, I will not be a stranger. I'll still be connected.
I feel like Dr. Bowman wants to say something.
No question. No question.
Erica, you know, you're my sis. I love you. And this has, I mean, I was the third one to come into the fold in terms of the Thursday panel. And you're just irreplaceable. And you know what? It's not goodbye. It's not goodbye. It's just maybe see you less often on Thursdays, but we'll still see you. And you just really are a treasure. And the one thing I want people to know that people might not really know is Erica is a lot of fun. I think it's obvious. She's cool, right? Everybody knows that she's cool. But Erica is my fun girl. Erica's my, like, listen to Lola Brooke, Megan Thee Stallion.
Ratchet. Turn up.
Yeah,
They get rowdy over there.
Okay, they know about that. Lotto, Flo Millie, all the people. She's my,
Leo,
you know,
yeah.
she's my ready to love, watch Ratchet TV. Like, this woman is so multifaceted and so dynamic, and so I'm excited that you're moving into a space that can showcase all of your range, and you know, really, you're just such a blessing to all of us. So thank you for letting me be beside you this long.
Absolutely. No, I can't. I'm just gonna keep it short because that was the sisterly connection we needed to see. I remember before COVID hit, and we were in the other spot. And there was one night when all the sisters were together, and I took a picture. I said, "This is beautiful."
I have it framed.
Yeah,
I have it framed.
Okay.
I have it framed.
That is such a beautiful moment. And then, of course, the most recent one when y'all was sitting there giving shade in the studio the night of election night. I'm like, but I tell you what, I was watching the vice president at Cape Coast at the dungeon the other day, and she stood up to the podium to speak, and she got choked up. Yeah. And I said, anybody been sitting in that dungeon, Roland knows, any of us knows, you can't be unmoved.
Yeah.
When I think about you, Erica, I think about somebody who has not only the strongest character, but as a black person, as a person of African descent, that kind of emotion that you have the ability to channel and come through the screen. Any of y'all watch? Especially when we start talking about getting the strap. I'll be like, look, I'll ride with Erica. You know what I'm saying?
Where we at? Where we
period,
going?
let's go.
Where
and I'm
we
just
at?
saying, you can't fake that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So thank you, sis. You know I love you. And we all gonna be together anyway. I'm glad you're still gonna be with Reese on Saturdays. Yeah. You still with the network.
Yeah.
And you know, Roland Martin made this the blackest place, but you made it a little bit blacker. So we appreciate you.
I appreciate you, boo.
Well, my position is simple. I've always said that it's about creating a space, opportunity for people to be able to do what they do. You don't have the platform, you can't actually showcase talents, and so yeah, when Ava's like, hey, I got somebody want to come on, I'm like, all right, let's see what she can do. I like we'll throw on, and you know, and then you came on, you did the same thing Reese did, like trying to be all like cautious. I'm like, that ain't what we do. That ain't what we do. Yep. Just do you.
Yeah.
And so it's been absolutely great. Bringing all your Georgia-ness to the show. And so good luck in future endeavors. It's been fabulous. And it's always a matter of having a ball. So we appreciate hanging out on Thursdays with you and Reese and Greg. And so, and folks, whenever I travel, people always stop me there talking about, yo, tell Greg, tell Erica, tell Reese, hey. And it always happens. And of course, Erica can also thank this show for going down in history because she's forever a meme because...
That's facts. Oh, wait, you got it?
Look at the Lord.
Facts.
Oh, my God.
Meme. Y'all see that, right?
Look. Oh, my God.
So that, of course, was from our election night coverage.
State of the Union.
When the when Dina, the black conservative, we were having a conversation about abortion, and things got just a little bit heated. And then, of course, everybody talked about my conversation with Philip. And people actually thought it was a laugh track And I kept trying to explain to people it wasn't a laugh track. That was actually Erica. We were live. We were live on the air. We were live on the air, and people were like, "Yo, who was that person back there who was?" Y'all think I'm joking? Play it. Let me help you out with something. Let me just help you out with something, Philip.
Usually I ask for help if I need.
No, because you need some help right now, Philip. Like, you need some help real bad. If I said, I have never, ever seen Philip in a red tie, and if somebody says, Roland, have you ever met Philip? No. Have you ever seen Philip on TV? No. Have you ever seen Philip at an event? No. Well, hell, if you ain't never seen Philip, of course you ain't never seen Philip in a red tie. So how can you say people are not protesting black-on-black violence in Chicago, but they are, but you haven't seen it, and you've made no attempt to find out it exists. But let me ask you this question, and this is a second, I want you to answer that one too first. Why are you so worried about Chicago and you ain't focused on crime in Indianapolis?
We are focused on crime in Indianapolis.
So why are you bringing up Chicago, though? Because I'm sorry, go back to my iPad. I'm looking at your column. You simply state, I've had the opportunity to work with my local police department. So you don't name it. You say all that laughing. So people thought they thought it was a laugh track. No, Erica's microphone was up.
Look at my dad leaning in. Because my dad has told me about making faces and keeping it together.
Erica was Reese muted her phone.
Yeah,
Erica ass, she was cracking up. Laughing, y'all. Y'all, she was cracking up, laughing the whole time.
It was funny.
Yeah.
But wait, you have to. Her classic, iconic phrase.
Baby, the son of a Klansman. That's who he is. And he was indicted today. Women's History Month. Yes. My last day.
Yes.
Come on.
Praise his holy name. Thank you,
Yeah, so it was.
We bless.
That was your president. He said, happy.
Yeah, y'all. So it was. So I just want y'all to know that was not a laugh track at all. That was literally Erica cracking up laughing while Philip was drowning.
Oh yeah.
While Philip was
being drowned.
Listen,
well, that boy was
waterboarded.
well, that boy
voluntarily.
Well, that boy was just drowning, and just in case. Because, see, y'all, we showed y'all one. I can't find a full screen video, so I'm going to play. This is what we posted. Just look at all the faces Erica just made. Come on, go ahead, go to it, y'all.
Don't look, Dad.
Turn it up.
Don't look, Dad.
Everywhere, Roland.
South Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Arkansas, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama.
Exactly.
They all are against Medicaid expansion and rural hospitals.
Roland,
Are you telling me rural hospitals? Are you literally telling me that rural hospitals in Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina are not showing? Hold up, y'all. I gotta run that back. Tennessee, Georgia. I gotta run that. South Carolina are not shutting down. Are you actually telling me that?
I am not telling you that.
Come on, y'all. And if y'all heard that, say that. Erica thought she was in church, y'all. Erica thought she was in church.
Yeah, all did on that couch.
Always in church,
That was
baby.
serious business.
We always in church.
So that happened. That did happen. I did not. I know I'm over time, but it's all right. I'm good. I meant to play this earlier. Did y'all see Congressman Jamaal Bowman?
Oh my God! I thought he was gonna choke Massie out, man.
So y'all saw the congressman was letting Republicans know y'all acting a fool over the shootings and stuff, and he decided to go ham. I want y'all to look at Steny Hoyer trying to calm Jamaal down. Then finally he was like, "Nah, I'm just gonna get and leave this Negro alone."
Too old.
Y'all roll the video.
Catch the straight up in this.
And they go to the Senate, ask the same questions. They're cowards. They're all college. They won't do anything to save the lives of our children at all. Cowards, pressure them, force them to respond to the question, why the hell won't you do anything to save America's children? And let them explain that all the way up until election day on 2024. Let them explain it all the way up to election day on 2024. They're freaking cowards. They're gutless. They're not here. I'm talking about gun violence.
You know, there's never been.
I'm talking about gun violence.
A school that allows teachers to carry.
Oh my God. Carry guns? You think more guns lead to more death? More guns lead to more death. Look at the data. You're not looking at any data. You're carrying the water for the gun lobby. Look at the data. More guns lead to more deaths. Good states that have open carry laws have more death. States that have open carry laws have more death. Are you listening to what I'm saying? Calm down. Children are dying. 9-year-old children. The solution is not arming teachers. Have you ever worked in a school? 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 It's a yes or no question. Have you ever worked in a school? You will not answer my question. Don't stop and talk to me.
Yeah, and that thing just continued. That's the kind of heat we need.
Period. And I like how he said, I was screaming before you came. I'm gonna put the motherfucker in there. But that was the energy he was giving off. He was giving off like, don't come over here checking me about my tone. With kids dying. You know what I'm saying? It's the Republicans. They act the ass. Because we saw how they acted during the McCarthy confirmation, not confirmation situation.
That's right.
And they were showing their whole ass the whole time. But they like to talk about decorum when they're trying to mute Democrats and they're trying to mute conversations about things that they are complicit on. And so I like the energy. I want everybody to have that energy. But the bottom line is the people we need to have that energy are the non-voters because the Republicans have put their flag in the sand. Abbott just mollywopped Beto in the mass shooting capital. Kemp, DeSantis, mollywopped there. Okay, maybe not mollywopped.
75% of young voters in Texas did not vote.
Exactly. So the people we need to have that energy are the people that are sitting at home on their ass refusing to vote. Well, I ain't got no reason to vote. Both of these parties are the same. Okay, so when these kids keep dying, that's on you.
My God.
Greg?
Nah, you saw that. We taped a segment of the Black Table today. Monifa Bandele, who was out of Brooklyn, works with Moms Rising. She was talking about Jamaal Bowman. So I asked her, I said, you know Jamaal? She said, oh yeah, I know Jamaal. He's an educator. He has opened schools. And he was one of the first people to sign on to the work they're doing around maternal health. Black women are dying in this country. It's just ridiculous. And so the man has had enough. I said, did you see the thing? She said, oh yeah, I saw it. That's him. That's New York right there. And Thomas Massie, who built his own house, takes pictures with all these guns and stuff in Kentucky. That's great, baby. We stand in the hall now. You want to dance? Jamaal Bowman back there, he was in his face. I'm glad everybody was there with the recording, right? Because this is a black man who's had enough. And these are white children. I'm from Nashville. Now, there was a black man that died. He was the custodian. This brother just trying to go to work. Nobody went home.
And before I let Erica with the last word, I just want y'all to understand how crazy these Republicans are. That was Representative Jamaal Bowman. This happened in a committee hearing with Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett.
Oh, Stacey Plaskett.
Y'all watch this.
By Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry, where he decries all political violence and calls for an end to that and asks for respect for all political viewpoints.
Without objection.
Another thing we can examine because he's not here. Very good.
No, you can examine it. It's a document. He's going to
examine him for what he wrote and the intent behind what he said.
Well, I would just point out that that's unanimous consent for documents, and we got the document right here. And he handed to you.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask unanimous consent.
The chair now recognizes Ms. Wasserman.
Mr. Chairman, I have a unanimous consent request, Mr. Chairman.
One by Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry.
Period. I love that. And I think Mike Johnson, isn't he the one that adopted like a black son? And I think that's him. We're talking about Louisiana. We're talking about...
this was the quote, you didn't hear it. She says, honey, she said, I know this man didn't just shove his paper in my face. Honey, when I say you got the wrong one.
Period. Me and G were just talking. I said, that sister's from the Virgin Islands. She will give him the business. And then when we talk about the state of Louisiana, their senators, you're talking about a senator that on record talked about black women maternal health not mattering because it was black women that were involved in that.
That's
I know I kind of, just to really kind of paraphrase what he said, but Plaskett energy, Bowman energy, when we're talking about what is going to be the present and the future of this country, I said it on the show 4 weeks ago, we cannot continue to go in the direction that we're going for another generation. No. And Reese talked about earlier that really the direction of the country is being decided by Republicans and non-voters. Yep. So listen, that 18 to 24 bracket, Roland just brought forth that 75% of those eligible young voters in Texas did not vote. Give me 75% of everything you bring in your pocket.
How about that?
Give me 75%.
Come on, Eric.
Then tell me what that feels like, because that is literally the translation. This show on its base, on its face, talks about economic components and how that drives everything.
That's right.
If you will give me 75% of everything you bring in, even if it's Chanel, Gucci, if it's Dollar General, give me 75% of that and your cash, I will shut up about voting. You won't ever hear me talk about it again, but that's definitely not going to happen. You have got to engage. It is not an inconvenience. Being where people who have died via Harriet Tubman have been hundreds of years ago, I guarantee you that's an inconvenience.
How about that?
All right, Erica, final word on the show. We appreciate it. Look forward to when you come on back with your matching lipstick and your outfit. I saw you. Yeah, I peeped that. Let me also let me thank Greg, Reese, Erica. I appreciate it. You got your parents here.
That's it.
You got your parents.
Yeah, my mom and my dad.
You got your mom and your dad, and
my boyfriend.
And you got your boyfriend, who's actually not. It's not AI. It's a real person.
Him real.
There you go. There you go.
Mom, dad, Chris.
And of course, and of course, Greg, her dad belongs to the coldest and the boldest.
Come on. My daddy is an alpha.
The only fraternity that exists.
Come on, Brad.
Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
Period.
Shout out to Julian Madvo's class over there.
There she go. Hey, Dean.
That's right. Glad to have y'all here. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. To the rest of y'all, don't be trying to get no ideas, trying to bring y'all classes. People be hitting me up. Hey, can we come by the studio? I'm like, if you ain't cut a check, you ain't joined the fan club, you can't.
Right. Listen, because we have done that.
Right.
Okay?
Just let y'all know. And I know I saw y'all heard that Xavier's coming by Yak. So these are 2 black-owned liquor brands. And I expect them to also send us a check for this free ass advertising gave them. So be sure. So Carol, be sure to tell Halo 7 and tell Sazerac and Rye cut that check.
Yes.
Hold on, let me get it right there. So
yes.
So y'all already know, and this is all. So y'all gotta understand how black this show is. This is Donnell Rollins' candle. Comedian, Ashy Larry.
Yeah.
So his candles, Donnell Rollins Black Ash hand poured.
No way.
I'm trying to tell you, hand poured Senate candle, and so that's his.
Ashy Larry got a candle.
Yep. I actually been told to burn that sucker out. Yeah, we'll totally burn. We done burned that sucker. Ass left in here. So y'all see how we do on this show. Wow. Everything black here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. That's it, y'all. I'm way over time. We appreciate. Glad to have the panel in the house. We'll do this thing again. And to all y'all who are watching, I keep saying this, and I can't employ y'all anymore. Your resources matter. Y'all have no idea. I'm fighting this thing every single day with these ad agencies and these companies. They come to us and they say, oh, we don't buy news because, it's controversial, it's opinion. Yet when I see these pharmaceutical ads on Fox News, when I see these ads on MSNBC, I'm like, they give an opinion over there. And by the way, Eli Lilly, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, Bristol Squibb Myers, I'm coming after y'all too. And just so y'all know, and so to everybody who's watching, I'm telling y'all, without our fan support, we would not still be here. Our fans have contributed about $2 million over the last 4.5 years. And that's a series of $1, $5, $10, $25, on average $50 donations. I went to the mailbox yesterday. This is literally, these are actually checks and money orders. These are all the black people who say, I ain't giving no Cash App, Zelle. So don't think I gotta literally open every single one. I gotta sign the back of it. I gotta pull the camera out and take a picture and deposit it. Oh yeah, trust me. And so again, it matters. And I'm telling y'all, information ain't free. I know a bunch of y'all sitting here watching, y'all comment on YouTube, but this information ain't free. And so your support matters. Let me tell y'all something. When I say if 20,000 of our fans give on average $50 a year, that's $1 million. Y'all, you take that, you take with what we generate on YouTube, the network is paid for. We absolutely need you to support us in what we do. There are people who can't give 50, they give less. The people who've actually given us more. Last week I had 2 people who sent us back-to-back days $1,000 checks because they believe in what we're doing. And trust me, y'all, I get stopped all around the country. I get brothers come up to me who've been in prison who say, bruh, your show got me through prison. And
they tell us that too, to tell you.
Yeah.
We all hear that.
So people stop us. There are people who say, man, I didn't know nothing about politics. I've met people who are now in office who say they learned politics watching this show. And so when I say, y'all, it matters, it matters. And so please support us in what we do. I'm telling y'all, it's crucial. Y'all, it's an advertise. Look, y'all don't understand what's happening right now. I'm telling you. Okay, folks are having layoffs. ABC News just announced the layoffs. Disney, ESPN. I'm not trying to lay anybody off. We're trying to keep our status quo with our staff. We want to build. Your support matters. Check and money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Henry, give me a 2-shot of the panel and then of the group over there to close us out. Give me that 2-shot. And so again, y'all, contribute to the show. If you haven't given, do so, because I'm telling y'all, we're fighting a good fight. And there is let me be very clear, there is no other show like this show in America.
No.
Period.
None.
No.
There's no other black-owned media outlet that does what we do. No other show. We are 2 hours every night. Roger Muhammad is 2 hours every day. Right. We've got Greg's show. We've got Deborah Owens' show. We got Jackie Hood Martin's show. We got Stephanie Humphrey's show. We got 3 shows in development. Y'all, this thing is real. We're building it, but your resources absolutely matter. All right, you got my 2-shot ready? Wide shot here and the shot now 2-shot me and the group. I need this shot, and then there we go. All right, y'all. Look at y'all throwing the fists up. Hey! Look at y'all. All right,
that's LA right there.
You got the 2-shot. You got in the box. You got the box.
You got it.
I need the 2-shot. I need it in the box.
8.
All right, so this is how I end my show with holla. That's how I end the show. And very loud, so you can't be all meek and everything. All right, we waiting on Henry to get this damn shot. All right, we got a programmer in the switcher. Do 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 do. I'll play the Jeopardy.
There it is. He got it.
All right, here we go. All right, so on 3, we're gonna end the show with a holla. All right, 1, 2, 3. Holla!
Wow, that's beautiful.
Wow, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Pull up a chair. Take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, Here on the Black Star Network, every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.